In this video, we review and discuss Season 2 of Loki. Welcome back to Eat Sleep Nerd. In this video, we are talking about the entirety of Season 2 of Marvel Studios' Loki that you can find over on Disney+. I'm your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and joining me is our geeky friend, Christian James, and Jason Summer. So, small team here today, but we have watched the entirety of Season 2 of Loki. How do you guys feel about it?
I feel very strongly towards it.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of other reviews about the beginning of the show. Like, okay, there's a lot going on, but like, what is going on? What's going to be the main thing happening?
Okay.
But it definitely kept me intrigued, like from the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really wanted to know what was going on. I didn't really care about like if it was going to connect because I knew Loki was pretty like by itself as a show, technically. But yeah, from the first episode, I was pretty locked in.
Okay. Jason?
I thought it had a weak beginning. I was worried about how it was going to finish up, and fortunately it finished really strongly. And I was reminded of when we were talking about the Halo series, and we were worried about like the magical storylines and things like that. When we first started reviewing, and we were all agreed that as long as everything tied up in the end, we would be okay with a seemingly weak beginning.
Yep.
And that's what happened here. So very pleased with the season.
Okay. And I agree. It was yet again probably the best that Marvel's been in a while, just like we were saying about the Marvels. So much so, I mean, like it picked up directly where season 1 left off.
Yeah.
And none of the production quality or acting or anything fell off in the first season. I thought the quality across the board was the exact same from season 1. And, you know, here at Eat Sleep Nerd, we gave season 1 an S tier ranking when we did a whole Marvel ranking of all of the Marvel TV shows and movies. So kind of in my mind, this season 2 is still holding up there in S tier of Marvel Studios projects. Would you guys agree?
Yes. Throughout the whole...
do we need to do a spoiler thing real quick?
Sure.
Before we keep going,
I wasn't prepared for that, Jason.
That's what I was saying. Do we need to wait?
Spoilers. They're going to be spoilers.
There
you go. Spoiler warning. If you have not seen all of season 2, we'll be talking all about all 6 episodes. So if you have not seen all of them, beware. We're talking about specific story and plot thingies. So
with the now 13 years Tom Hiddleston has played Loki, he hasn't been the weakest link.
No, you could argue he's the strongest character the MCU has had so far.
Yeah. And with this show, he's beyond Tony Stark, has had the best arc in that amount of years.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because it at the end, it came full circle. Like what he was saying before he left out the doors. He's like, I could do it for you, for all of us. And that's how the first story ended.
Yeah, so like when we first saw Loki, we saw him first in the original Thor movie, but I think the majority of people first saw him in the Avengers. Like that was the big blockbuster movie that kind of like, you know, gave people the first look at the entire cast. That was my first introduction to Loki. I didn't see Thor until after I saw the Avengers. So the first time we really saw him, he was like the big bad guy. And up until this moment, like he's been like one of the best villains that the MCU has had. But now he's, you know, one of the best heroes that the MCU has had. Now, he literally saved the multiverse.
Now, to be fair, this was his variant. This is not the main Loki.
True.
Now you can make the argument that he is now the main Loki because we focus so much time on him. But
fair.
And
the main Loki is still Loki, but this variant of Loki, which came out of the Avengers Endgame.
But Endgame also picked up right after the Battle of New York in that version.
Right.
So you could argue it is still the same Loki. Like he still experienced the entire. I get your point, but I don't know. Point is, villain all the way to hero.
Here's the best thing though about this Loki is that he didn't have to suffer through Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh God!
What a lucky man!
Oh goodness! Oh goodness! This is true.
Even the show referenced his character throughout the whole time. Like they were talking about how villainous he had been, but he was like, Timely was like, but he tried to save me, and they were like, he flip flops from time to time, and he does.
He does.
He does something really evil. Thor calls him out on it, and he's like, it's fine. All right,
he has literally stabbed his brother in the back.
Literally.
Right. So, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So just something to keep in mind while we're talking about this Loki. Like, there is a variant of Loki which turned out as he did in the series, and there's the main Loki which died.
Okay.
Just saying.
In which, thinking about it, so if this Loki left at the end of the original Avengers,
technically, yeah.
How did we pick back up in the Loki in that same universe?
What?
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So
I do not know what you're saying.
If Loki in this series left after Avengers, so we were missing a Loki.
Right. Technically.
Where did we come back to Loki?
Well, this is when Captain America did he went back in time to fix everything to back how it used to be.
So we got him back
at the end of Endgame. And if you recall, the whole thing about the point of the TVA is to prune variants. So technically, this Loki should have been pruned, and we should never have had this story. Technically, he should have been pruned.
Yeah.
And so the reason why we have this story is because he wasn't pruned like he was supposed to have been.
Got it.
Okay.
Wait, no. I'm not talking about the show.
I know that.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got you.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I picked back up.
Okay.
All right. So sounds like a lot of positives. Speaking of positives, let's talk about Ki-Hye Kwan.
Right?
He was fantastic.
Shining light.
He was a standout in this show. I loved him.
Sometimes I hate it when they bring in actors who have just become, trending again. Which is, he is. That's what's going on. He's had a renaissance, like a severe renaissance.
Yeah.
A significant renaissance would be a better way to say that. A significant renaissance. Yeah. He fit right into this role. He was great, and he was an absolute pleasure to watch on the screen.
Yeah, and everybody was.
True.
Tom Hiddleston was doing some fantastic acting, as was even Owen Wilson. This was a fantastically acted show.
Now I don't know what this actress is normally like, in her roles, but oh crap! I just closed my IMDb. Hang on, keep talking. I'll bring it back up.
How does that keep happening to you, Jason?
That's all I got.
Okay, no, hang on. There was one actress where I thought she was the weakest link, and I said so in the last season. Unfortunately, she wasn't a big part of this season. She was a big part, but she had a limited role, much less than last season.
Who did she play?
The one that played Ravonna Renslayer, Gugu Mbatha Raw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She just didn't seem like she had a strong, she just didn't act well for me. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy her acting on this one.
I can see that.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because she wasn't like a true player in the story, even though she sort of should have been.
Yeah.
But she didn't have time in the show to present herself better.
I kind of wonder if they cut her role down in this second season because she just wasn't as strong as an actor as they were hoping in the first one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyway,
speaking of actors whose roles they could have cut down, Jonathan Majors still played a significant part in this season, despite his ongoing legal issues. And I'll admit, still killed it. Like that that one episode where they went back to like I think it was like 1863 or something, where it focused pretty heavily on his storyline.
Yeah.
Fantastic acting. Like that was awesome.
The way that he's able to play different versions of the same type character, I think is really wonderful. And then he made fun of himself later on as like the Victor Timely like is a significantly different character than the one who remains. And then as they go talk to the one who remains at the end of the season, he actually makes fun of Victor Timely.
Yeah.
But not so much that he's actually directly mimicking him. It's a caricature of him. So he did a caricature of his own acting, which I thought was really funny. It was really good acting.
Yeah.
So speaking of him, at the end, they were talking about cleaning up all of the variants of Kang, and they mentioned, what about that scuffle that they had in 616, and like, oh yeah, we got that taken care of too. I didn't know if that was like a reference to things that are actually going on in our world. Like, is 616 our version, like the main timeline?
Oh,
Yeah, it's supposed to be the main universe that we've been watching. Yeah.
So were they talking about like the things that are actually going on with Jonathan Majors? And
I don't think they would do that.
Yeah. I think
didn't
they
know.
were referencing
Like,
Ant-Man.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just wondering if like, is this when they were saying that they were pruning all or rounding up all the Kang versions, if that was them getting rid of the Kang storyline?
That would have been.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
And so that they could do Doctor Doom or whomever instead.
Okay, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it was after the main story, so it almost. I was wondering if it was like an afterthought or kind of a.
But then again, like before that, when they were still at the end of time, and he was telling Loki that his variants are already out there, and like no matter what happens, they're going to be out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's still. I don't think it would be an end to Kang. They might do it differently if they do decide
to actually recast. What?
Yeah, I wouldn't say recast, but like make other villains more prevalent than Kang.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, if Jonathan Majors is guilty of what he's being accused of, then he needs to, that needs to be taken, addressed. At the same time, though, he was perfect for the role, and and I hate to see this character have to go away because of things that happen, and I understand it, but at the same time, it definitely had potential. So
yeah, because I remember seeing him, like, I think that might have been his first like big thing was Lovecraft Country.
Oh, that's
and that was an excellent show. That unfortunately only had one season, and then he popped up in the MCU. I was like, bro, he's gonna kill it in this whole universe, especially with the ability to play different characters. Man, he's gonna kill it. And people saw that, especially in the first season of Loki, and then in Quantumania, he was a totally different person. And now this second season, he was a totally different person.
Yeah.
I hope that he is able to continue, and he'd be the one who remains.
All right, so I want to talk about the last episode a good bit, but before we get there, anything about episodes 1 through 5 specifically that you guys want to touch on?
I think mostly I just kind of want to talk about a little bit about Sylvie a little bit.
Okay.
I was sad to see that she wasn't utilized as much.
Yeah, she really wasn't.
I missed her character. I missed the back and forth that she had with Loki. Not sure why they decided to go that route and put her in the 80s working at McDonald's, but I guess she was trying to live the most glorified life as possible. Maybe, but at the same time, I missed the interactions.
And she was sort of like almost his main antagonist, other than trying to fix the loom.
Yeah.
Because she was still trying to kill Kang just to get it done with. but obviously there were other things that could have been done without killing him. And that's what Loki was trying to do. So, I mean, if she was like around all the time, it would just be them bickering about that.
And they and the times that they were together, they were bickering about that.
Yeah. So it was like he was trying to like, okay, like I get it, Sylvie, but we can do this. He tried to do something, it didn't work. He was like, yes, Sylvie, I get it. We're trying. You want to kill him, but it's fine. We'll try this. So it was nice that it was like split up throughout the season instead of just the entire season.
Sure.
Yeah. And so you touched on her like being an antagonist. So that was actually kind of one of my biggest positives for this season is that there really was not a primary antagonist. Like they were bad people that were working against Loki's mission, like Sylvie at times, and then Miss Minutes and Renslayer. But there was really no overarching nemesis except for the multiverse is falling apart.
Yeah, the nemesis was the situation.
Yeah, it's like I like that the situation was the antagonist, not a single character. I think that actually made it a little bit more tense and a little bit more thrilling. Is that it wasn't just a rinse and repeat. We got to defeat this bad guy. It was we got to solve this problem.
Yeah, and that definitely made it feel like better as a show.
Yeah,
because it was just like okay, like you're not trying to figure out like how they're gonna easily defeat the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like they made it was episode 4 where like they were trying to fix the loom and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So we're like, cool. You thought they had a solution and we're going to figure out the solution after for the next 2 episodes. And it's like, no, we still have 2 episodes to fix the problem still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And so it made it so much better after that.
Yeah.
Was it episode 4 or 5 where Victor Timely was spaghettified at the end of the episode?
I think 4.
Yeah.
Oh no, I watched them all at once, so they were all.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Anyway, that was probably the biggest cliffhanger that we had gotten from Marvel in a while.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because it ended on just a black screen, like the universe is falling apart, and just
because they failed, and then everybody was wiped out, and that was the end of the episode.
Yeah,
and nothing went like the way it was supposed to go, and then you're like, oh, well, now what? And you didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Like, even with Infinity War, I think we all knew that they were going to bring back the people who had been ashed by Thanos. I think we all knew that. This one, I was like, I had no clue where they're going to go. And I like that so much.
Like, what do we do? Because they said that the only thing that they had in their back pocket was Timely, and now he's gone.
Right.
Yeah. So where is this going to go now?
Right. I 100% thought it was going to work too, which I think they did a good job. Anyway, so kudos on them. Like that was probably one of the best cliffhangers that we've had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Just some overall feelings as well. It was thrilling. It was well acted. It was funny.
Yes.
Like it was great at balancing so many different moods and vibes and emotions. Where a lot of the times that we've seen with Marvel these past couple of years, Love and Thunder, it was just trying to be funny the entire time and it didn't really hit. But this, it was, one scene was really funny, or just a one-liner was funny, but then the next thing that was happening was more serious and thrilling. So great way to keep me involved in the show.
I would say add on that like to what the way they filmed this one too was a lot different. Like they had a lot of perspectives in the scenes that you normally wouldn't see or wouldn't think that would be necessary to have. Especially like when they were trying to go find Miss Minutes and Renslayer. They did that slow pan out, but it was still focused on Mobius talking. But it was pulling out to see the reactions of everybody else in the room. So it was almost like it was involving you in the whole conversation. So beyond like the acting and the things that they were saying, the things that was happening, you were also involved. You were like, I'm a part of this now. And that tension really built up because of that, I think.
What did you guys think of the little civil war going inside the TVA with General Dox leading the one team?
Okay.
Yeah.
That felt kind of wasted. Like it didn't really belong. Like it didn't really do anything.
Yeah, it didn't hit emotionally.
Like it didn't.
Like it probably should have.
I feel like it didn't really have a purpose.
Because it was like a small hiccup.
Yeah.
That they immediately fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some interesting aspects to it. I think the way that they closed out with the shrinking box of
I
the way
will say that did add.
that was probably nearly as graphic as they've gotten, and it wasn't even visually graphic. It was
They didn't even show
audibly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
audibly graphic, and it was just like
Yeah, you just
it was
looked
still
at
pretty
Brad's face
visceral.
the entire time.
So I kind of want to give Disney or Marvel a nod to that. Like, good job, but at the same time, I'm like, did we really need to go that hard? So
Yes.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Because they're thinking about it like we got the scene with Brad and Loki when he was trying to interrogate him, when he was squeezing him in the box.
Yeah.
So you sort of had an idea of what could happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't really need to see it, and you were just like, that is dark.
That is true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so many people in one spot. It was just
Yeah.
Now,
And so many people pointed out too, like that part of the room, that's why there's grates.
Oh,
no. I missed that.
Oh,
oh, that's just dark.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Just hose up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just mush.
Okay. So now talking about the graphic nature of that, did you find the spaghettification graphics as grotesque, or was that more of or not? Were they not so much? Because the
I've seen
spaghettification, it was
a few
like
times
it was
now.
like the colors of innards, like, but it wasn't. You actually didn't see. It was just spaghettified. So
Yeah, the first time he like split apart, like it wasn't too detailed graphic.
Yeah.
But even though you saw like his rib cage and then his jaw, like as it fell to the ground, like it wasn't. They didn't put too much detail or like blood or guts or whatever into it to make it so ew. It was just like, oh my god.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I got the impression that for a brief instance, it was extremely painful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've just seen the spaghetti thing a few different times in the MCU now. So it's just kind of like,
Yeah. It's a little weird.
I've not seen it before.
Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, that was a little, okay, fair enough.
Ant-Man, yeah.
Yeah. Really? Ant-Man?
Quantumania, yeah.
Yeah, and the what is that, the paradox that he was in?
Oh, is that
all the Ant-Man were like running around because he was like, there's so many ways you could do this, so he kept popping up out of himself.
That's right.
And the giant one just kind of spaghettified
that's
away.
Right, that's right. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. The graphic is a graphic we're used to. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of graphics.
Yeah.
Like Christian was saying, I think in one of our other videos, this is where Marvel's been putting all their money, obviously, because it's like production value out the roof.
Not a thing looked bad.
Not a single thing. Like, I wish all of their stuff could look like this because obviously they put their time and effort into this one.
Yeah.
So.
Because like the visual representation, like literally of the last scenes in episode 6.
Yeah.
Like it didn't look hokey. Like, when he's grabbing the timelines, it didn't look
hokey Loki.
I was thinking that.
What happened?
Hokey Loki.
Hokey Loki.
Oh wow.
Because it could have just been really bad looking at him just grabbing vines. Because he had to like act out like putting the power into it and blah blah blah, and that could have just looked bad, but it didn't. And like, it just looks so good.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So, Loki had a significant character arc throughout these 2 seasons, particularly as demonstrated in this last season, and then where he ended up at the end of this show. So what are your thoughts on him specifically as we reach the end of Loki season 2?
So I guess I get the point to point this out. So episode 5, when they're in the bar, him and Sylvie, and she was like, "What do you really want out of all of this?" She was like, I just want to save my friends. Like, what do you really want?
Yeah.
I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
But his glorious purpose the burden that he had to trial with was being alone to save his friends.
Yeah.
Man, was that sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes all the way back to what we originally saw look like. He wanted the throne.
Yeah.
And the imagery of him, like the very last scene, he was taking the throne, but for a very different reason. When we first wanted the throne all the way back in Thor, it's because he was selfish. He just wanted all of the power and the authority. But now that we've seen Loki in this final scene, he's like selfless. He's gone from selfish to selfless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I would say it's worse than sacrificing yourself death wise. He has sacrificed his existence for eternity by holding and ensuring that all timelines continue to exist.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on this throne alone forever. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, so
not to mention all the hundreds of years before that, where he was having to learn how to do all the science.
Physics and exactly. So what we're talking about, if you haven't seen it, is that they finally determined that the loom cannot is the loom that they've been trying to save is actually it's a failsafe to destroy all the timelines except for the main one. And that goes against everything that they've been trying to do. And they can't, and so the loom was designed to never be scalable. So what Loki realized is that they would have to destroy the loom so that the timelines could exist without any type of restrictions, and that they could grow as needed. And then he had to use his own powers to make sure that the timelines didn't die out. And then he actually internalized them, and so that all timelines could exist, so that all lives could exist. And then he sits on this throne of time forever.
Yeah, which, like, all of that, like, the whole scene brought it right back around to the first Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing that he created for the timelines was the Tree of Life.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first Thor, that's what he was trying to destroy.
I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about the Tree of Life real quick. Refresh us.
The Norse Tree of Life, the Yggdrasil. You know, there was a scene that
it was so long since I've seen it.
Yeah. I actually kind of watched it the other day.
Oh, nice.
I watched that scene. That scene happened to be on. I was like, oh, cool. It's the whole, like, what's it called? So the Tree of Life, then, like, in that realm is like what holds all the different realms.
The thing that Thor drew out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That held the 9 realms. Yes.
They held the 9 realms.
Yes. Okay.
And that's just what, since Loki was responsible for Ragnarok, he was trying to destroy that whole thing. And then in turn, at the end of the show, that's what he creates to have life continue.
Yeah.
And so
I did notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful turnaround.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Christian, you impress me every time that we talk about this stuff. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Because I was like, they panned out, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little design. And then it did the 90-degree turn.
It turned. I did. Yes.
And I was like, that's a tree.
It is a tree.
It's a tree of life. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to note when he was time slipping in episode 5, there was one scene where it cut to a wacky wavy inflatable arm flinging tube man, and when he landed in the thing, he was like mimicking the wacky wavy inflatable arm flinging tube man.
That's funny. Awesome. I missed that. That's funny.
Yeah, it was like very short. You know, it was like that's.
It was
funny.
very quick. It was like a 2-second thing. It was funny though.
Oh, speaking of things connecting, we also got to talk about the time slipping in themselves.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about, maybe, I guess, but probably just between ourselves, how much it looks like the glitching in the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Are we going to hold on to that?
Ooh.
Is that how it's going to connect?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
they're doing
a stretch
because not to spoil in a different kind of video
Right.
from what we saw in the Marvels
Right.
to what we think that the end of season 2 is going to create. Will that bring them in?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that the timing of these kind of things is unintentional.
Yeah.
We're seeing something in the Marvels. We're seeing something at the end of Loki. I think it's intentional because they're needing to either redirect or start to include other aspects of Marvel into So I don't think that this is unintentional.
I would agree. So one of our biggest criticisms on the MCU the past couple of years, post Endgame, is that there hasn't really been much overarching connectivity. And so it's been hard to be excited about anything coming up soon. But, as we're talking about this, it is kind of exciting about what this could be leading to again. So I hope they don't fumble it.
Yeah. Actually, I was just thinking the same thing. Like I was talking about the Marvels and then talking about this in the same paragraph.
Yeah.
Actually kind of rekindles a bit of the excitement about what could be coming with the MCU.
Yeah. And then I just had this thought, so the Infinity Saga was a lot of story that a lot of people were familiar with. And now they're getting into more characters and stories that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's kind of more exciting not to know what's coming.
Yeah.
To see where it goes.
Yeah.
Because we've been pleasantly surprised the last 2 times.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. Because kind of like Josh, I wasn't feeling where the Marvels was going to go. But I was going to see it just to see. And I think that's where Marvel is right now. They're trying to reinvent, but also stay where they've always been.
Yeah.
And that feels nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we're hearing some really promising things coming out of Marvel recently. For example, like Kevin Feige watching Daredevil and just being completely like, what are you guys doing? And we're taking it back to formula, essentially.
Yeah.
And so that's promising. And I would much rather have a delay on things like that than being fed something that's just not what's good or being asked for.
Yeah.
So if we're heading in a direction that's unfamiliar but exciting and nobody can tell where it's going to go, I'm on board.
Yeah. And yes, it is upsetting that a lot of things are getting rescheduled, getting pushed back, blah, blah. But at the same time, if they're all agreeing that for it to be the best it can be and we need to push it back, let's go for it. Because I'm okay with Daredevil being the only thing to come out next year.
Deadpool.
What'd I say?
Daredevil.
That
one's not going to come out.
That's
for a
funny. Yeah, Deadpool.
Yeah, no. As of this recording, so we just finished season 2 of Loki, which is November 2023. Just a couple days ago, as of this recording, a lot of stuff has been pushed back and delayed and everything. Currently, the only Marvel project scheduled for release in 2024 is Deadpool 3 and the Echo series on Disney+. That's it for Marvel next year, aside from the Sony made stuff. But as far as the MCU proper goes, the rest of everything, even Captain America 4, a bunch of stuff, not until 2025 at least. So this is the last of Marvel we have until Echo.
Which
is all dropping at once.
And that'll give Martin Scorsese something not to cry about.
Yeah. You know what? I'm fine with that because I do feel like part of why we're having issues with Marvel is because we're just inundated with so much content. And I think they've been trying so hard to combine so much or to link so much together. And I think they may have overshot their abilities. We got
Endgame and then we had COVID.
Yeah.
That could have been, all right, we're going to take a minute.
Yeah.
And produce the best content. But then they were like, we still need to make money.
Yeah.
Well, at first, the content on Disney Plus was good. Those first 4 or 5 shows were great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
no.
I don't know.
And one other thing to think of, I know, sorry, Corey, but one other thing to think about is that comics have been successful or were successful in the past because there were storylines that were their own storylines. You had runs of comics, or you had self-contained stories in one comic. You didn't have characters that were always connecting. You did not have overarching storylines that that always connected to other characters. You had that from time to time, like Crisis on Infinite Earth, and things like that. So, whereas it was great to see the Marvel Universe culminate to Endgame, maybe this should have been a period of more like just exploring one-off, stories and characters. And then if there was a way to do it later on, kind of bring them all together, but not have that as the main plan. And I think trying to do another phase, I think it was just a bit too lofty.
Yeah. And I mean, even in comic books, like they reboot those all the time because the stories get too meaty. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some scoring and use this to give your final thoughts. So this is actually, we never actually reviewed season 1 of Loki on this show. It was just before we started doing the show 2 years ago.
Was it really?
It was, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
So we don't have a score for season 1. So this is scoring only season 2 of Loki. But we have been doing the tier maker game on our YouTube channel. You can go find the playlist on our YouTube channel. And we just recently ranked the entire MCU, including movies and television shows on Disney Plus. And Loki, the first season, was one of the handful of MCU projects that was an S tier ranking for this entire team at Eat Sleep Nerds. So Loki, so far, has been one of the best projects, in our opinion, that Marvel has put out.
Mm-hmm.
Does season 2 match that mark? So let's get into some scores. If you're not familiar, we do a 1 to 5 scoring, and all three of us will individually give scores, and then we'll average them together. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. So, who is going first? Who wants to score it first?
5.
Season 2. Oh,
there you go.
Kirsten's going right in. All right.
Like I said, I was in episode 1, and it just kept getting better and better the entire time.
Yeah. Okay.
I was giddy when Thursdays came up.
All right. I will say I did not. I kept wanting to, but I never actually got into watching it weekly. So I actually watched all 6 episodes this past week. So I actually got to do binge style, which is, I think, just a little bit more my style of viewing. But I will say, if you have not started watching yet, I would recommend watching a pretty in-depth recap of season 1 first, because I was super lost for like the first 2 episodes because I did not remember season 1 at all. But then I caught back on. So all that said, like I've mentioned, it's hit all the marks. Great acting, great chemistry, especially amongst Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Like, that is really weirdly good chemistry between those two.
Great bromance.
Yeah. Great production value, which is, hit or miss for Marvel here these past couple of years. So kudos to that. Great story writing, great everything. So I thought it was great. Perfect, I dare say. So definitely a 5 for me as well. I think my mouse just died. Nope, it's back. 5 for me. Jason.
All right. I don't know if this is because I know. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't know if this is because I'm tired of having to sit through some weak episodes to get to the good ones, but I'm getting a little frustrated with that.
Where was the weak one?
The first couple were kind of like a little, just kind of, I don't know, just
really,
boring to me. Not boring, but they weren't captivating.
I thought the first one was good.
But okay, so having said that, it ended very strongly. So I'm going to say 4.5.
Okay, that is acceptable.
That's
I
fair.
will accept this. So, all 3 of us averaged together. Yet again, obviously, it's just 3 of us. Josh was going to join us, but he didn't end up finishing it. So, just our 3 scores combined gives us a 4.83 out of 5 for Eat Sleep Nerd for season 2 specifically of Loki. So, where are we ranking this on our MCU ranking list?
It's S.
It's
It
gotta
is
be
literally
S.
God tier at the end of it.
Yeah,
At the end of the season.
All right.
Which is funny. There's something that we need to bring up from Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
What?
On Rotten Tomatoes right now. So as a reminder about how Rotten Tomatoes works, it's not the average score that all of these reviewers have given it. It's actually just the percentage of scores that are positive. So in this case, we're looking at season 2 specifically of Loki on Rotten Tomatoes. Currently, out of 157 critic reviews, 81% of them have been positive. Likewise, the audience score out of over 2,500 reviews, which is probably a lot more than that, it says 81% have been positive. So currently, somehow, the critics and the audience are perfectly in alignment, which never happens with the MCU. So, like, currently, the Marvels, I think there's like a 20-point difference between critics and audience. So, for Loki season 2 to somehow be perfectly in alignment is a marvel by itself. Yeah. Thank you.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, it's good. 81% of people, critics and audience, agree it is a good show. So
Certified fresh.
Certy nerdy. So, S tier. We recommend it.
Absolutely.
It's almost perfect.
Yeah, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
So, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening over on podcast, I don't know if I actually published this one on podcast or not. So if it's on there, go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@EatSleepNerd. Get there, click the subscribe button, click the like button, leave some comments. Let us know how you felt about season 2 of Loki. But don't forget to go check out our other videos. Yet again, we did a tier maker on the MCU recently. We also just reviewed the Marvels, the new MCU movie that just came out. We have other stuff coming out too. We got some Thanksgiving things and other stuff like that. So, go check that stuff out. Who wants to do it?
Christian,
You guys are going to do it together.
Good old boy Jason.
All right. Jason,
What?
what are 3 things that nerds should be doing before they go check out the rest of our channel?
Did you like hit some sort of weird audio slip on your voice processor?
On our channel.
Oh my god.
What do people be doing?
Well, you should share these videos, subscribe, let's get our numbers up to 200 subscribers. That'd be great. Go watch Loki. But as always, eat, sleep, and nerd.
Take these people.